DiGuiseppe Architecture. How are you today?
I'm good this morning. Good.
Good. Well, I'm really glad to see you, and I want to thank you so much for taking part in HI Connect Design as one of our featured designers. Anthony is going to be working as creating the giant spa atmosphere. But before we get into that, Anthony, you know, I've really seen a lot of your spa work before. Why spas? How come that seems to be your focus, and what motivates you?
Well, it's sort of our focus. It's actually a subspecialty of what we do. I mean, we do architecture, interior design, and procurement. But I've always had a love for spas, dating back to the time when I was really a teenager, and used to go up to the infamous Concord Hotel.
I spent some time at the infamous Concord Hotel.
And you know, my father was a policeman, and they used to have the Police Benevolent Association had their yearly retreat there.
Right.
And I used to go there. My brother and I used to say, "Wow, this spot is amazing with the deep plunge pools and everything else."
My fondest memory of the Concord was a giant hairy Russian man giving me a massage and then throwing me into one of those plunge pools.
Exactly. And then with the Scotch hoses and everything, I think they were a little bit masochistic.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we really enjoyed going to those, having those treatments and all. So I've been through the years going to spas all the time, and every place I try to go to a conference. When I go to a conference, I try to check out the spa, see what kind of new techniques they have. And then it turned out that when we were called to do a spa in the Catskills again,
right
up there, which was up near Woodstock.
Wait, which property was it?
It was the Emerson Resort.
Oh,
Spa.
I thought you were going to say that.
Right.
I go way back with Jerry Jacobson, who ran the Emerson and put that thing together.
Right.
And I went to that spa, and for those of you out there who don't know, unfortunately it all burnt down eventually, but it was a really beautiful space, small, intimate environment, and I had never seen a spa like that. It was so lush, it was so pretty. It's so funny that you actually designed it.
Well, not that one. When it burnt down.
Oh, okay.
When it burnt down, I didn't think they were going to rebuild it. And I was actually at a Bitech event, and I get a call from Dean Gitter, who was the new owner. And he said, "Listen, I'm in need of someone to do a spa for us and design the hotel. And I'm in a situation where I don't have an interior designer right now." So he said, "I'd like to talk to you about that." So he saw it actually an ad in the upstate newspaper.
Oh, cool.
So we we started doing that, and it was a theme type of spa based on the Silk Road. And we were very much into it. And after that, we just got a lot of press from that, and we just started concentrating on developing that as a subcategory of our work, which really it's a hard project to do.
It definitely is. But what year was this project?
That was in 2005.
So you guys were really right in the middle of when everybody seemed to be wanting to add a spa component to the property.
Exactly. It was very important to anytime you had a 3 or 4 star, or 5 star, 4 or 5 star, you need to have a spa, and it had to be really an upscale type of facility. So it was that, and then we hooked up with a company called WTS, which actually we brought in as a consultant for that project, and knew them for years, and they actually recommended us for the Trump Soho Spa.
Ah, pretty cool. And that one has been a really great success from a design point of view. I can't vouch for how many massages they're selling, but it really looks beautiful, and everybody's really been talking about it.
The hammam treatment especially. And it's being really the only hammam really on the East Coast that's authentic. And we did a lot of research. I was in Istanbul and was able to really go to a spa there and see the old spa, 15th century, and then go into the Swiss Hotel, which is a brand new one.
Awesome.
And the treatments were just the same kind of treatments they were giving at the Trump Soho.
That's pretty cool. So when you approach a spa project, for example, what are some of the things that you need to think about when you're beginning to create the design?
It's really it really comes down to a basic knowledge of the operations. There's lots of great designers, and a lot of people that make everything pretty and really look cool and serene, but the operations part of it is so important that you have to understand what the sequence is when you come into a spa, and the kind of privacy issues you have, and sound issues, and the plumbing and electrical are just massive.
Right, and since you're coming from an architectural and a design point of view, you're kind of brought in when they're first starting to create the space.
We give it like giving an empty palette.
Wow.
Like right down to the Trump Soho, it was right down to the window walls.
That's beautiful.
Nothing was there.
That's great, and you get to see a whole space, and you really get to imagine something from the point of entry all the way through the conclusion of the treatment.
Exactly. And you really you have to understand the spa menu, and so that's very important when they, someone like WTS puts that together, the spa menu, and then what the sequence is that you have to follow, and the men and the women, and how they.
So that's interesting to me. I immediately would think, as a novice, that the spa menu would be something that would come towards the end of the process, but you're saying it's got to come at the beginning.
It's got to come at the beginning because it determines the kind of equipment you're going to order, the kind of treatment you're going to have, the sequence you're going to be put into, the kind of privacy issues, how are men and women separate, are they together at certain points, and how that flows through the space. They never have someone passing by someone else in, like, if they're in a robe, you're not passing someone in regular clothes.
All right, so that makes a perfect lot of sense, because then if you're in that spa kind of zone, seeing somebody walk around in regular clothes makes you feel a little bit weird.
Yeah, it does. You want that serenity and that whole feeling to move from the first time you check in to when you check out.
I love the whole spa experience, except for those damn slippers that they give you. They can't stay on my feet. They fly off. What is with that, Anthony?
It's the kind that you use. I mean, there are so many different types.
And for the record, Anthony does not design those particular shoes.
I don't design those particular slippers. Although I have a bunch of them that was left over from the Plaza spa before they closed. I have them in a bag in my house.
That's hysterical.
I give them as gifts.
Nice. I like that. That's pretty great. All right, so. Just going back to when did you realize that you wanted to be a designer? You went to the spas as a kid, but you were going to these spas, but not really realizing at the time that you wanted to be a designer and were soaking in all of this information.
I think we went back to junior high school.
Yeah.
And I was always interested in art. I remember my grandfather gave me two things. When I was sick, he used to give me the Venus Paradise coloring sets,
right?
Which was paint by number.
I remember that.
Right, remember those things? And then the other was he gave me a whole set of oil paints.
Oh, sweet.
With the box and everything else, and I used to paint.
Nice.
But then probably back in junior high school when I was starting to take art classes, and we got to a project which was designing a house.
Right.
And it was just whatever thing you wanted to do. And I did this octagonal type shaped house on stilts, and the guy said to me, instructor said, "I'm going to give you 100." I said, "I'm not finished." He said, "Doesn't matter."
Right.
And I knew at that point that I always wanted to be an architect.
That's great.
And a designer. And then, as it turns out, being a young designer in New York back in the 80s,
right.
We didn't get a chance to do anything but doing interiors.
Right.
Who was able to design a building, being a young.
Yeah, right, for sure.
Right.
So you start in little places, and then you start to move up and up and up until you give in more responsibility. So what motivates you and drives you as a designer? Where do you get those types of influences from?
I look at a lot of different cross-culture type of experiences. I look at art, I look at furniture, I look at some older designers, what things have done in the past, antiquities, photography, art and images, and try to put it together where things are going with textures, with juxtaposition of old and new. Most of the projects that we do tend to have not all modern.
Right.
It's modern with something else involved in it, or it's old with modern attached to it. Basically, I'm a modernist.
Right.
But I love some of the old furniture and the crafts type of, not craftsman furniture, but so much more of a craft type of design where there really is attention to detail.
That's great. I see more of the mixing of different types of elements these days, and it seems to be working more successfully, more so than the uniformity of design that I used to see in the 90s, for example.
Right. I think people feel more comfortable with having a mix of history and a mix of now, and that with a little salt and pepper that makes it hot.
How critical is sense of place?
Very critical. I think that, and I've been saying this for years, is that to go into a hotel and not have a feeling of where you are, that you could be any place in the world and it's still the same.
Right.
It's that McDonald's mentality that I think was very prevalent 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Then with the advent of the boutique hotels,
right.
Everyone started to either make it more indigenous or make it themed a little bit for the culture. And I think that's the most important. In every spa that we do, we try to really have it, whether it's the Trump Soho was more of the owners were Moroccan, and and Turkish.
Yes.
And they wanted that influence. Like Ivanka wanted, she had been there, she loved the places. Alex Sapir was from that region. And so we wanted to insert really the culture of the Moroccan and Turkish into that, and the fact that the hammam was there too, which comes
Right.
from
And that's great. It's beautiful and tiled and looks.
But it's a modern space.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a modern space at the same time, and modern materials. You know?
So right, so it elicits the emotion of what
It
you're trying to
does.
get through, but it still has more rooted in modernity.
Right.
All right, so we've got coming up March 21st through 23rd at the Gaylord OpryLand Hotel in Nashville. We've got HI Connect Design. We're thrilled, absolutely thrilled to have you spearheading our spa vignette. That's going to be like the centerpiece of one of our neighborhoods. So, what, Anthony, are you thinking about as you get involved in this project? What's your vision?
You know, my vision is to try to. Well, there were some parameters that we have to get over.
Right.
The fact is that we don't have a complete environment to work in. So how do you establish a feeling, or really exude a feeling to the people who are seeing this, and at the same time say spa
Right.
and say fitness,
Mhm.
knowing that you're not really going to have a ceiling
Right.
to work from. The lighting may be difficult. It has to be somewhat temporary.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're starting to talk about it, but I'm starting to think about it more and more. We haven't come up with any definitive ideas, but I think I want to do something that is going to be that will be something in the future.
Right.
Where
Interesting.
we see spas going in the next 5 to 10 years.
So taking that point of view, where do we see spas going, in your opinion?
I think we see spas going in a direction that is that they become more part of everyday life. That they're not just for the upper upscale people to go to, but it becomes part of your daily routine. And so it's not that, and the cost comes down
Right.
as well. So that you can, it's almost like the thing you see in the airports, where you can now have a massage done while you're waiting.
Right.
They didn't have that 10 years ago.
No, and now they've even got those little places where you can go and take a nap in the airport too, which is
Exactly.
great.
So I think that's, I've gone to the global spa summits and talked to a lot of the people involved in spas and the magazines and the people who run them and the companies, and it seems that that's where the direction is going, to make it more part of the everyday man's life, the
Right.
everyday woman's life.
So in order to do that, you kind of have to break down some barriers, because some people probably still feel, wow, that's overwhelming, that's a little too much for me. So how do you make it more approachable to that everyday consumer?
I think to try to do it in an easy form, something that's very soothing, something that's very comfortable. A lot of people don't like to be touched.
Right.
So for them, for treatments.
It's a little difficult when you're trying to get a massage.
Well, that's what, some people don't like massages at all. They don't know what the benefits are.
They're missing
And
out.
they are missing out. They are missing out. But if you don't like that, there are also all kinds of other types of treatments that you can go in, hydrotherapy and everything else, with salt water that people can experience to make them relax. Basically, what we don't have in our lives is time.
Right.
And we have too much stress. So how to relieve that stress, and doing this a shorter time period, that's something that's not going to stop when you go out of that massage room, but it will continue on, whether it be in a feeling or with the information, or something you can take away with you to then continue on on your own.
Right. Yeah, and that's very important. It's not, you can't just go get a massage and call it a day and say
And
that's
say,
the
yeah,
year.
okay, I'm great now, and
Right.
and then 20 minutes later you get that stressful phone call.
Right.
You don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah, it's part of that continual process. Any final words, Anthony?
Just that we're very excited to do the High Connect. I think it's going to be an amazing venue. I just can't believe the amount of space. We're giving 5,500 square feet.
Wow.
That's a huge vignette.
That is huge, but to be fair, we'll have probably some smoothies out there too, so that'll take up 2 or 3
That's
square feet, so
Right.
that'll be good. Well, we look forward to seeing you. We look forward to seeing what you have to reveal to us. And guys, make sure you come down to HI Connect Design. Just go to HIDesignConnect.com. You can find all the information there. We've got lots more interviews with a lot of great designers coming up. So thanks for listening, and we'll
Thank
be
you,
back.
Glenn.
Thank you.